And also she's kind of the first villain Disney ever had. So it's really that I grew up watching in the old animated movie. And it's not just like professionally enjoying working with them. You know, we treated this film with such honor to the original film, and you know, you need to respect the classic.
Disney's biggest box office disaster didn't just bomb, it imploded. And now, the fallout is turning personal. Behind the scenes of Disney's live-action Snow White, there's a quiet war erupting between its two stars, Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. One is being praised for her grace under pressure, the other being blamed for tanking $1 billion franchise, and maybe even getting sued for it. So what really happened on set? Why are insiders calling Rachel Zegler a walking PR nightmare? And how did politics, power struggles, and personal betrayal turn Disney's dream project into an irreversible disaster? Let's break it all down. And trust me, this gets messy. When Disney announced the Snow White remake, it was supposed to be a guaranteed hit, massive budget, beloved fairy tale, and two big names, Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, but instead of box office gold, they got disaster. Snow White didn't just flop. It became one of the most expensive failures in Disney history. With a bloated budget north of $250 million, the film barely scraped together half of that in its opening weeks. And by week 4, over 1,200 theaters dropped it. Just like that. The movie was pulled from international markets. Disney even quietly delayed the Disney Plus release, likely hoping the internet would forget. Spoiler, it didn't. But the numbers alone don't tell the full story. The truth is, this wasn't just a bad movie, it was a PR grenade, and Rachel Zegler pulled the pin. Before the film even hit theaters, Rachel Zegler ignited a firestorm. In interview after interview, she trashed the original 1937 Snow White, calling it weird and outdated. She said her version would be a modern woman who doesn't need saving, and that the prince was basically useless. On paper, it was supposed to sound empowering, but to Disney's core audience, parents, kids, and longtime fans, it came off as arrogant and preachy. Clips of Rachel smirking through press junkets while mocking the original story went viral, but not in a good way. She was called disrespectful, entitled. Some even said she looked like she hated the movie she was starring in, and while the internet tore Rachel apart, one person stayed curiously quiet, Gal Gadot. While Rachel was on a media tour of self-destruction, Gal Gadot did the opposite. She smiled. She kept things light. She shared magical behind-the-scenes photos and leaned into the classic fairy tale vibe. No hot takes, no political commentary, just Disney magic. Fans quickly noticed. Clips surfaced of Gal looking visibly uncomfortable while sitting next to Rachel during interviews. In one now viral moment, Rachel dominates the conversation with a long feminist monologue, while Gal stares blankly ahead, not saying a word. People praised Gal for staying classy and not feeding the outrage machine. But behind that silence, there was tension, because what fans didn't know was that Gal disagreed with Rachel, and things were already turning ugly behind the scenes. According to multiple insiders, Gal and Rachel were barely speaking during filming. At first, Disney tried to play peacemaker, but by post-production, it was clear the two stars were done with each other. Then came the rumors. Insiders claimed that Gal was considering legal action, not against Disney, but against Rachel. Allegedly, Gal believed that Rachel's controversial statements had directly damaged the film's image and her own reputation. One particularly cryptic Instagram post from Gal read, "Some people play roles, others play with fire. I stay professional." Fans instantly took it as a shot at Rachel, but the rift went deeper than clashing personalities. It became political and dangerous. What many fans forgot or didn't know is that Gal Gadot isn't just an actress, She's also a former Israeli Defense Forces soldier, and she's been publicly pro-Israel for years. Rachel Zegler, meanwhile, made her stance clear when she posted Free Palestine during the 2023 Israel-Gaza conflict. The timing couldn't have been worse. Disney was already under fire for being too political. And now their lead actress was taking a public stance on one of the most divisive global issues imaginable. Worse? Gal reportedly received threats after Rachel's posts went viral. Disney had to quietly provide private security for Gal during reshoots. Executives were furious, not just at the political mess, but at the security risk. From that moment on, Gal and Rachel's relationship wasn't just cold, it was shattered. As more insiders began to speak anonymously, the image of Rachel Zegler began to crumble even more. Crew members described her as cold, demanding, and controlling. They claimed she tried to override director decisions, pushed her own vision, and isolated herself from the cast and crew. She wasn't a team player, one anonymous crew member said. She thought she was running the show. Meanwhile, Gal Gadot reportedly stayed professional, engaged warmly with the crew, and didn't get involved in drama. Behind-the-scenes footage showed Gal laughing with makeup artists, signing autographs, while Rachel sat silently on her phone. The contrast was damning. And then, Rachel's final public meltdown pushed things past the point of no return. After the movie flopped, Rachel made a bizarre move. She posted a TikTok of herself sitting completely alone in an empty movie theater. The vibe? Haunting, she captioned. It with vague sadness and irony, but the message was clear. She was watching her own movie die, alone. Then, instead of taking responsibility or staying quiet, Rachel mocked fans who criticized her interviews, calling them fragile and weirdly obsessed. But the tone changed again. Within days, she posted another TikTok, crying, asking for grace and understanding. Fans weren't buying it. First she insults us, then plays the victim, one commenter wrote. Too little, too late. Rachel's attempt to shift the narrative backfired, and Hollywood took note. In just 6 months, Rachel Zegler went from being Disney's new star to a public relations liability. Studios reportedly began backing away from future projects. Brands pulled out of deals. Disney insiders admitted they had no plans to work with her again anytime soon. Meanwhile, Gal Gadot came out of the storm virtually untouched. In fact, some say her reputation got stronger. She was seen as the adult in the room, the pro, the one who didn't let the chaos consume her. Even People magazine, usually friendly to celebrities, confirmed that Gal and Rachel are not friends, and never were. The damage is done, and Rachel's Hollywood dream might be over. What started as a promising Disney reboot ended in flames, and not because of one bad movie. Rachel Zegler didn't just clash with fans, she clashed with her co-stars, her crew, and her own studio. She turned Snow White into a battleground, political, personal, and professional. And while Gal Gadot may have walked away with her image intact, the scars behind the scenes are still there. So now the question is, can Rachel Zegler ever bounce back from this? Should Disney rethink casting polarizing figures in legacy roles? And is this the end of Disney's live-action remakes, or just the beginning of their reckoning? Let us know what you think in the comments.